The Jays are forced into an impossible decision as we now inch closer and closer, just over a week away from opening day. Some new reports have dropped, specifically from Shai Davidi and others, revealing that the Jays are forced into not only an impossible decision, but one that has huge implications going forward. We're going to break down exactly what that is and discuss what it means. But before we get into it, if you're a part of the 71% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. Your guys' support has been absolutely unbelievable. So make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying it. And bear with me a little bit here, folks. I have food poisoning, but going to still get the video out for you all. So bear with the sick sounding voice. I apologize. But ladies and gentlemen, let's dive right into it here. There's a lot to go over today. Most importantly, the Jays are also playing at the time of recording. It is an absolute blowout. But what we're all focused on now is a week away from Thursday is opening day. And some of the biggest questions is surrounding one particular player, but really a couple players. And we're going to be breaking it all down here. And we also have an update surrounding Max Scherzer. But I want to go into this article I dropped earlier today from Shai Davidi. The last week of spring training games means the final push for the Blue Jays roster spots is on. And this one is very interesting because, throughout the whole spring training, the entirety of camp, we've been talking about on this channel and just in general about how this spring training actually means something because there's a lot of players that are fighting for spots, whether that be David Schneider, whether that be Addison Barger, Rhoden, all these different players, even, of course, especially heightened for guys like Barger and Schneider, who I've been around a little bit now, mainly David Schneider. And as we inch closer and closer to opening day, this is their final chance to really make a push. And Shai Davidi gives some interesting insights. You can see this here in Clearwater, Florida. Off the bat, Addison Barger's 114-mile-per-hour rocket on a 2-2 air handle sinker. It was both plenty far and plenty fair, but with a powerful wind whipping right to the left at the Bay Care Ballpark. The ball was picked up by the gusts and basically talking about, if you watch the game, obviously it was foul. But you can see this here. It got out quick, then the wind took it away. I'm still a little salty about it. Still, the 25-year-old shook it off and dug in, fouling off a knuckle curve. He hit 109 miles an hour. If you're watching this at bat, not only was it extremely impressive, it was crazy to see how hard he hits the ball. And he went on to say, I didn't feel like his fastball was playing the way it usually does. So after that foul ball, I was kind of confident and expecting off speed and then just reacting to the heater. Threw me a changeup down, the kind of pitch I was looking for. And again, this is from Shai Davidi. I recommend you go check out the article. But the reason that this is interesting is because now you can see another article that dropped by Sportsnet. The Jays are forced into an impossible decision as it pertains to Rhoden, obviously Miles Straw, and Addison Barger. And again, you're at the point now in spring training where, and I'm very curious to see what you guys think down below. Let me know in the comment section, who would you pick out of these guys if you had to pick one between Rhoden, Straw, and of course, Addison Barger? Because the Jays are in a spot now where they're all in this year. Ross Atkins, Mark Shapiro, they're all at the end of their contract. So they're going to field the team that gives them the best opportunity to win. And you can even go ahead and throw Aurelvis Martinez in here. But as it pertains to the focus of this video, which is Addison Barger and Rhoden, Rhoden has been absolutely dominating. He's hitting 409 and a 1336 OPS. And he went on to say that he's just developing as a hitter in terms of approach and things that I want to do in the box. I want to continue that and continue learning. And hopefully that leads me to the best results possible. And this is where things start to get interesting now, because as we inch closer and closer to opening night, Rhoden is going to be the biggest talking point of conversation. Yes, Addison Barger played really well and it's kind of silenced some of the haters coming into spring training. But as you start to look at now, specifically Rhoden, this guy has done every single thing you could have asked for him and 10 times better. He has made the Jays' decisions surrounding these players much more difficult than, I'm sure front office was not hoping for, but the front office was expecting, because with Rhoden's fantastic play, their hand is now a little bit forced. You have David Schneider, you have Miles Straw, you have Rhoden, and you have Addison Barger. Now, in theory, Addison Barger can play some infield. You can kind of throw them all around. But you need to pick at least one of these guys. And the big question mark, and there's been a lot of reports lately about it, specifically surrounding Rhoden, is he going to break at a camp? And all signs are pointing to no, but the more that he hits balls at insane, exit velocities, the more he gets on base. It is interesting. You even have John Schneider there at the bottom saying it's cool to watch a guy go through the system, take everything that's thrown at him, and apply it really quickly. And obviously, something that's not spoke about a ton here is that Rhoden now has had the ability and has had the opportunity to learn from both major leaguers and the major league coaching staff in spring training. And it's something that's not talked about a ton because obviously we're all focused on the results. But Rhoden has really developed even just throughout spring training. We know he's coming off of a big year at AAA. We know, is he going to follow the Spencer Horwitz path, where last year Spencer Horwitz was called up way too late? It ultimately ended up in the Jays not even sniffing the playoffs and then getting traded in the offseason for, of course, Andres Gimenez and Nick Sandlin. But you're at the point now where you don't want this to linger. You do not want Alan Straw to linger, or Alan Rhoden to linger the whole way. You look at his season last year, AAA, a 916 OPS, AA, 805 OPS. He's already 24 years old. He's not a super young player. He's similar age to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who is on the polar opposite of the spectrum as it pertains to Vladdy. Now we're talking about him leaving in the offseason, and Alan Rhoden, we need to call him up and see how it goes. And it's an impossible decision now because every single player, not one guy has ran away with it. Barger's been mashing, Alan Rhoden's been mashing, and even Miles Straw has been mashing with an 1100 OPS. And there's a lot of different ways he can impact our team, whether it's late in the game, on the bases, or defensively, moving a guy over, getting a bunt down. He can run. Pretty cool skill set. So, I mean, again, this was the kind of the trade that was the final nail in the coffin for a lot of fans as it pertains to the front office here, because we all thought they were going to get Roki Sasaki. But as it pertains to actually Miles Straw, I mean, he's done as good of a job as you could have asked for out of him as well. He has been very good, and I think there's a much higher chance here that the Jays play it a little bit safe and field Miles Straw opening day. I'm not saying in the starting lineup, depending on Varsho's health in center field. I think if he's not playing center field, Dalton Varsho, that is, he'll play DH. But for Miles Straw, I mean, he's done everything he can. And if he can hit even a 700 OPS, a 750 OPS, his defense is some of the best in baseball. And I know us fans, we're sick and tired of hearing about defense. But at the end of the day, like, he can run bases and he can obviously play fantastic defense. But the question now is, would they prefer that or Alan Rhoden? And that's going to be the biggest question mark going forward, because Alan Rhoden is a much better hitter than Miles Straw. And Alan Rhoden has been tearing it up at all levels over the past handful of seasons, culminating in what was a great year last year, and to the point where Ross Atkins came out at the start of spring training, if you all remember, and specifically called out Alan Rhoden and said, "Hey, Alan Rhoden, I'm going to put a bit of pressure on you. I don't usually do this." This is Ross Atkins, and he said that. And now he did everything. He exceeded all expectations, Alan Rhoden did, for this Blue Jays team in spring training. At the end of the day, if he doesn't make the team out of camp following this performance, they had their mind made up anyway. And obviously, it's a good sign regardless that he can keep up with, mix of MLB pitching and minor league pitching. But at the end of the day, the Jays need to go out and actually take a swing for once. And whether that swing is starting a Relvis Martinez as a DH against lefties, whether that's calling up Alan Rhoden earlier than they're comfortable doing, something needs to change with this team, because if not, we're going to fall into the same old habits that we've been falling into for a while. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. A very difficult decision for the Jays, and one that I think is going to end up being Miles Straw, but we'll see. One other note here is Max Scherzer, and it's just an interesting point. Entering camp, the Jays were an injury away from dipping into their not-so-deep starting pitching depth. With Max Scherzer's status now uncertain, that time may have already arrived, and we have an update on Max Scherzer. We'll have another video on that as well, but he seems to be day-to-day at this point. They're going to be throwing a simulated game, 65 pitches, I believe, tomorrow. We're going to keep you up to date with that, but the outlook changes for this starting pitching staff if Max Scherzer goes down, because then you have to move Yariel Rodriguez up, who's been horrible in spring training. You have to move, of course, Ryan Yarbrough to the long release spot, who's bad in today's game. I mean, everyone was bad in tonight's game, but let me know down below what your thoughts are. A ton of different reports dropping, tons of different news coming out, and ladies and gentlemen, we are now just 9 days away from opening day, so make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching.